in the vehicle my wife likes to take. But we take our dog to dog classes every Monday, and usually I just sit in the car. But I figured this would be a good opportunity to go live because YouTube is like, yo, you should be going live on the vertical video. And I'm like, all right, let me test this out. I got like a good 30 minutes to go live and talk about some things. I definitely want to speak on a couple things. I'm gonna talk about some movies, talk about the obvious elephant in the room stuff. We're talking about the big T word and the inauguration and things like that. And there's a lot to unpack because dude hit the ground running immediately. Once the ink was dry and the pledge was made, we saw a influx of all these executive orders coming in from him doing immigration, him setting gender laws, him talking about TikTok. He went crazy. I think he set a record for most executive orders signed in one day on day one. And it's one of those things where I think there's two different types of people that I'm seeing out there right now when it comes to this whole thing. There's people who are afraid and there's people who are excited. And for me personally, like I land somewhere in the middle in the sense that like I like to always first of all I always operate in a sense of optimism. I always try to run with a sense of positivity, regardless of who's leading the country and regardless of whatever's going on in the world. I always try to push that ideal and that mindset of peace, love, growth, happiness, connection, community. Those are the things that are most important to me. It doesn't actually matter who is in office or who is running things when it comes to those things. Um, but those things are not political. I'm not saying those things are not the things that affect the gas prices or affect the cost of eggs or uh, whatever, right? So you kind of have to eventually kind of tap into these things. What's up, Katie? We tap into these actual conversations and like I don't like talking politics. I really don't, just because of the fact that um, it's a sensitive subject for a lot of people to talk about this particular thing. But I do think these conversations need to be had. And I think one of the biggest things that we have to be careful about as American people is not letting fear control us. You know what I'm saying? Like, because fear is where you get controlled. You know what I'm saying? And instilling fear, once the fear is instilled in your heart, it's impossible to move forward. Well, I'm seeing some comments here. No, I don't play Fortnite. Actually, I do play Fortnite, but it's been a while since I played though. But I digress. Um, you just have to be careful because I think even with like the TikTok thing, it was crazy because of how that played out. It ended up being like a fear tactic where there's millions of people who make money off TikTok. I'm not monetizing TikTok yet. Maybe you can go follow me, make that happen. But I'm monetized on here. But the thing about it is like I'm not making crazy money on YouTube. Like I'm not like making a bunch of money. I barely even post content on this particular channel. But it's one of those things where like if YouTube was taken away from me to where I couldn't do it anymore, you know what I'm saying? I think that would just instill some fear into me a little bit because I'm losing a revenue stream. But I know people who make their entire living off of TikTok, right? So you're taking that away and you're instilling fear. And once the fear hits, it's like, oh, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? You got to do something, right? So you protest, so you make a bunch of noise on other social media maps, but then someone comes in and saves you from that fear, right? I.e., in this particular topic with TikTok, would be quote unquote Trump, the guy who started this whole thing to begin with, being like, oh, I'm going to work with TikTok. And now I guess one of the executive orders that he signed was about him doing that in the sense that he was going to, uh, I guess they're looking at a 50-50 deal. So it's like, okay, cool, I guess. I mean, we'll see how that plays out. But I digress. Like, I'm not going to spend this whole life talking about politics just because I don't think that's as productive as it could be. But at the same time, like I think, like I said, it's important to talk about these things. And so with the whole immigration thing, it's like, well, that's such a touchy topic too, because there is a issue there, but I think the issue is overblown. And once again, it's all attached to fear. Like everything that you're seeing, all these things happening, all attached to fear, getting you guys scared, getting the people scared, and being like, what are you going to do about it as our leaders? And then I might even really touch on the Elon Musk thing with the whole hand symbol thing, because that's crazy. And he knows exactly what he's doing, but it also kind of almost feels like a bet. Like when it comes to that man, Mr. Musk, he it definitely feels like he is playing a video game. That's what it feels like to me. Like he's playing like a game of The Sims, and like his goal right now is to go to the White House, and then his next goal is to do this, and his goal go to Mars, etc. And so forth. It's almost like he's playing Civilization. That's what it feels like, and he feels like he can get away with anything. And at this point, he probably will because the infrastructure is built around him to be protected. So that's gonna get crazy. But like I said, I'm not trying to scare anybody. I just kind of wanted to share my thoughts on this because I feel like the way that things are set up right now, it's all designed to scare us. Fear, 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 fear. Our country is scared from inflation prices, from fear of war, from fear of just poverty. And so we're looking to our saviors to kind of pull up and save us from all this fear mongering. And like for me personally, like I said earlier, like it doesn't matter who's in office, man. Like my struggle has been my struggle regardless of who has been running the office, whether it was Clinton, Obama, Bush, whoever. Like I'm 40 years old, so I guess most of my adult life has been Bush, Obama, um, Biden, and Trump. So it's like I it didn't matter who was in office. You know what I'm saying? The struggle was still real, and I found my way. And I'm an artist. You know what I'm saying? So it's like for me, it's almost kind of like, and this might be taken the wrong way, but it's like things are going to be looking up for me as an artist because people are going to be looking towards artists for hope and inspiration, which is what we provide for people, right? So, and I think about like, even during like the Bush era, like think about all the rappers that were popping out on Bush, right? Like that made a whole career off of that. Like Immortal Technique, for example, comes to mind, who basically went ghost once the president became black, he disappeared. And even during Trump's last run, you had rappers popping out. Remember, you have the F Donald Trump song and all these rappers popping out who were mysteriously not around this time around. And I think there's a lot to unpack there, which I'm not going to spend a lot of time doing because I don't think, like I said, it's not going to take it anywhere. I think it's important to talk about, but I think that's also a balance. I mostly wanted to just kind of touch on it um, because I'm mostly also trying to try out this whole vertical live thing in the sense that I'm trying to do this more often. I would like to be able to go live maybe once a week, maybe daily if I can get the flow right. I got a lot going on. I'm working on a bunch of shit right now, including, I'm not sure if you guys can follow me on my other pages. So I have two other channels that I have. I have my Drone Actor channel. And then I have my new channel called The Parallaxers, which is actually like a superhero multimedia universe that just like launched. It's crazy. So it's like kind of like a comic book kind of vibe, or if you're like a fan of the show Heroes, but it exists in audiobook form. It exists as web fiction on Royal Road, and it also exists as a visual series that you can find on YouTube. I might be able to post a link. Can I do comments on here? I don't know how to use this shit. But the point is that, um, yeah, I'm doing some cool shit with that, and then with the whole live thing, I'm trying to get back to doing live streams on this channel. And YouTube is like, oh, well, you should do vertical live videos. And I'm like, okay, so we're trying this. It's the first vertical live video that we're doing. I'm doing this in my wife's van because, like I said, I'm here waiting for her to finish training our dog. We're at dog training right now. And it's super windy outside. And I was like, I got my little light right here. Let's go ahead and go live and check this out. So it's not the best setup, but when I was reading about it, it's like, oh, you start raw, you work your way up to the juicy, high quality streams, and it's like, okay, whatever. So, anyways, what I really wanted to talk about, there's a bunch of stuff I want to talk about here, but one thing in particular too, um, before I continue, actually, there's one more thing I want to say about the Trump error, and the fact of the matter is, and this is kind of summing things up real quick. Um, you're not going to change the bitch in you based off of who's in office. And what I mean by that is that over the last 8 years, I've seen people turn into some bitches. I don't know if I'm gonna get demonetized for saying this or whatever, or get kicked off the stream, but this goes on both sides. This is not a Democratic or Republican thing. It's the idea that you're attaching yourself to an entity that honestly, in the grand scheme of things, does not give a fuck about you on that level. And it's very like celebritydom slash fanboy shit, right? Like the people caping for either side in 2025, you're goofy. If you're caping for the current regime, you're goofy. If you're caping for the previous regime, you're goofy. Focus on yourself. Cape for yourself. Put the cape on for yourself, damn it. Because that's really what it's all about. You're only as good as yourself, not who is around you. But I digress. What I really want to talk about is America, but not America like Trump, but America like Captain America. Yes, the fucking Captain America movie. This shit is actually very interesting in where it's at in terms of like the MCU's vibes right now. Because I think there's a lot of pressure on the MCU right now. Like this movie's actually low key make or break, and it's kind of weird, right? Because they've had several hits over the last year. Like they've done they had Deadpool and Wolverine, and they had Agatha all along, and a couple other like little sprinkles of juiciness over the last couple years. But this Captain America movie and the way that they're presenting it, it's actually kind of telling. And I almost feel like that they almost dropped the ball by waiting too long to put this movie out. Mostly because, and I'm about to get a little bit racial here on you guys, is the fact that we do have a black Captain America. And I think that a lot of people, especially with the current regime, ain't ready for that. And a lot of those people, they didn't watch fucking Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Maybe they did, but if you didn't watch that movie, if you didn't watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and you just watched Endgame, yeah, it kind of makes sense that Anthony Mackie's the new Captain America, but it's not gonna hit without watch. You have to watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier for Captain America Brave New World to hit in the way that it needs to hit. And this is like the ultimate problem with MCU's format. And this is ever since they started doing the TV shows. Um, like they almost like kind of split the attention too much. Like now you have to watch a bunch of shows behind a paywall and binge all this content on TV shows in order for all the movies to make sense. But there's people who only watch movies, right? Like they're not gonna go watch WandaVision, they're not gonna go watch Falcon, they're not gonna go watch Hawkeye, they're not gonna go watch um Agatha or any of these other shows that came out, they're not gonna watch them. So the last person to be like, oh yeah, I went to go see fucking Deadpool and Wolverine, and yeah, I saw Endgame because everybody saw Endgame. The last time I saw Endgame, we saw old Captain America pass the shield to Anthony Mackie. So I guess that's enough for Captain America 4 to be like, oh, now he's just running the show now, right? But now we live in a new regime. You know what I'm saying? We're in a Trump era now. That's just not going to fly, bro. That movie's going to flop. And then it sucks because I hope that movie was going to be successful. But I feel like even if the movie was fire, I feel like it's going to flop. And that's mostly because of African American Captain America. And I'm not trying to be racist. I'm black, obviously, so I'm trying to root for black Captain America. But I just know how this shit works, man. I just know how this shit works. It's you can't you can't gender swap or race swap beloved characters without a lot of setup these days. And yeah, they kind of teased it. You know what I'm saying? They kind of put the little teaser there and they set some things up. But the thing about it is that I said I'm trying not to make this like so like racial, but like we live in a white America. You know what I'm saying? And if you're calling it Captain America and he's black, he's not representing the current cross section of America, right? And that's where you're gonna see this movie flop. Like if they went ahead and made Sebastian Shaw, Captain America, Winter Soldier, Captain America, it could be the same exact fucking movie. But if they made Sebastian Shaw Captain America over Anthony Mackie, it would have hit a lot more. Now I know what you guys are thinking. You guys are like, oh well, in the comics, there's the Black Captain America. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, but people don't fucking read comics, bro. He's not on that level. You know what I'm saying? Like you would hope that people be like, oh, they would appreciate the context and they appreciate that. But we're talking about the average casual moviegoer that's willing to spend money to go see movies, right? Like they're gonna go to this. They probably already seen the trailer and like, what the fuck? Why is Captain America Anthony Mackie? Not only that, just that, but why is Harrison Ford turning into Red Hulk and where is Green Hulk? Why is he not? I'm saying like, and what's weird about that movie is that it almost feels like they wanted to make it a Hulk movie in terms of like how the leaked script and all that stuff. But they also realized that they had a lot of holes to fill. So the latest poster that came out for Captain America actually features him flying over the Tiamat statue from the Eternals because I think people were getting pissed off at the fact that like, hey, this literal celestial is living in or die, his body's in the ocean, and it has not been addressed in any of the movies since it happened. I'm saying not Ant-Man, not Deadpool, but not a single movie has addressed the fact that there's been a giant celestial creature body floating in the ocean and has been for several years now. So I think that Captain America, they realize this and they're like, well, I guess if we're going to make this movie as if we're gonna draw in the viewers of the MCU, it's not gonna be because Captain America is black. It's gonna be because we're gonna finally address the Tiamat thing, right? And honestly, I think it's a good strat. Is it good enough to bring me to the theaters? I don't know. I don't think as of right now, I don't think I'm gonna go see Captain America in the theaters. As of right now, and like that might change. I might get like I might hear some good reviews or things might get. I might feel like on a whim, feeling all whimsical and shit, and be like, "Yo, let's go watch Captain America real quick with the wife." But as of right now, I'm not gonna go see Captain America. I'm just not. Um, it is what it is. Like I don't think that movie is. Like, it's kind of messed up to say because I'm black, but I don't think that movie's for me. You know what I'm saying like I don't think that Captain America like they're making this movie to convince people that Anthony Mackie needs to be Captain America, which was supposed to be the purpose of Falcon and Winter Soldier, right? Which was a fantastic show. Like if you haven't seen Falcon and Winter Soldier, go watch it. It's actually really good. But the point is that, as I said earlier, convincing the general white audience to go watch Captain America 4 featuring Black Captain America and Red Hulk just doing all the colors, how else are you expecting that to go? So that's why they're like, all right, bet we got to go ahead and address the Tiamat thing. If we throw in the Tiamat thing and address the giant celestial that's been in the ocean for the last several years, that's gonna make people pop out. Even though the Eternals was a flop, like relatively speaking, it still like opened up like a whole chapter of conversation that needs to happen in the MCU. What's interesting is that I think there's only one other movie coming out from the MCU this year, and that's Fantastic Four. And with Fantastic Four, the pressure is so big on that movie. Like it's crazy, like how much pressure is on Fantastic Four to be a successful movie. And I'm optimistic. Like I feel like it could be good. I feel like it could hit. But I also feel like it's like I talk about this all the time with my nerd friends, like on Facebook or whatever, where it's just like I feel like Marvel has so many pieces up in the air right now. Just all these different like plot lines and characters and events just in the air right now. And I think that it's still possible for them to stick the landing, but I also think that it's going to be very difficult for them to do that. I think that it's going to be one of those things where it's like you got to bust out the tippiest, toppiest, tiers writers to make this work. And they allegedly are bringing back the Russos to write Secret Wars, right, and direct it. So, they are going big guns, and they're going with their probably their best ace in the hole with the Russos writing this. But all the threads that exist at this point, like even right now, I'm thinking about like America Chavez, right? They got to resolve that. I don't think Kang is as important to resolve as other things. I actually think that low key, actually solved the Kang storyline. Like I don't think it needs to be addressed. Like you had, yes, you did have the after credit scene from Ant-Man 3, but you could argue that low key kind of solved that. But once again, as I said earlier in its rant, like low key was something that is now must watch TV in the MCU. If you don't watch Loki moving forward, you know what I'm saying? A lot of shit's probably not gonna make sense. Now, is that fair to people who have to pay? I don't even know how much Disney Plus costs. Cause he's my friend, but I don't know how much Disney Plus costs. Like $14.99 for Disney Plus to watch all these shows. And I mean, it's entertainment at the end of the day. So I mean, I guess you just get what you get out of it. But it's just a very complicated road that uh, MCU has to build to get to Secret Wars. And who knows what the fuck's gonna happen after that, right? Like after Secret Wars happens, is it gonna be a reboot? Maybe not. Hugh Jackman just came out and said that he is going to continue playing Wolverine for the next decade. So I don't think that Hugh Jackman is with Hugh Jackman staying. That alone kind of ruins a bunch of shit. If I'm being honest about it, like don't get me wrong, I love Hugh Jackman. I think that he's great as Wolverine. But if he's actually literally staying for another decade as like the Wolverine, they fucked it up. The bag has been dropped. Not Hugh Jackman's bag. Hugh Jackman's bag is doing fucking fantastic. But in terms of like how the MCU is approaching this, it's like I don't even know. I feel like I almost feel like Secret Wars should definitely be the end of the MCU as we know it. Like grand finale, like let's cap this shit off. Let's reset the universe. But then from there, I also feel like the MCU should take like 5 years off. Like dead ass, like no MCU content for like a good, strong 5 years of no MCU content after Secret Wars. I think that's what needs to happen. And like get like a really fresh reboot. And when I say like a fresh reboot, I mean like you're not using any of the characters from the previous iteration. And if you wanted to, you could start from scratch. You know what I'm saying? Like kill everybody off or do whatever, give everybody a nice fitting ending for Secret Wars and give everybody a nice send off. You know what I'm saying? You could bring back every single superhero that's ever fucking existed in movies if you want to do that. You could bring them all back and give them a nice send off and then just chill on MCU for like 5 years. And during that 5 years, you're developing. You know what I'm saying? You bring on a new team of fresh writers, maybe some of the comic book people, and you just rebuild and you build a cohesive storyline from A to Z. Because that's the biggest thing, right? Like I think with even like Infinity War and Endgame, they were making a lot of shit up as they were going along. I'm saying like it wasn't like they were like, oh, like they knew that they were gonna do Thanos, right? But when you look back at it in hindsight, it was like, y'all, you all definitely didn't know what y'all were doing when you made the Iron Man movie. Like when you made that first Iron Man movie, you weren't thinking this nigga's gonna be saying this line in fucking Endgame 10 years from now. You didn't know that, right? And you didn't know how successful it was gonna be, and you all just kind of made shit up as you went along from there. And don't get me wrong, it was fucking fantastic. MCU first 10 years, incredible, one of the greatest things in cinematic history. So I'm not really complaining in that sense, but you could just feel that there was a lack of cohesion, right? So it's like after Secret Wars, what you could do is just take that little 5 years off, right? Take 1 year to yourself and go on vacation and go spend all your fucking MCU money. But then for the next 4 years after that, y'all just write. And you write fucking a good, cohesive 10-year cinematic universe with all your characters and all your things lined up, good to go. And you stick to it. You know what I'm saying? Because I kind of feel like that's what James Gunn's doing right now when it comes to the DCU. Like I almost feel like that's literally exactly what James Gunn is doing. And there's a reason why he's starting with Superman because he knows that, like, with Superman, he's that guy, but he already has the next 6 or 7, 8, 9, 10 fucking movies planned. Like, he has the first saga planned already from front to back. I don't think the MCU did that. And like I said, they did what they did. They made their money, but um, that's what I like to see with Secret Wars. Hopefully, I hope to see that, grand send off. Everybody retires. Yay! Shout out to Toby. Shout out to Andrew. Shout out to Hugh Jackman. Shout out to everybody who made the MC what it was. You send them off into the sunset, and then you go back into the writing lab and you reboot the MCU. And you reboot it hard, like hard reboot. You replace all the fuck characters. You could do the same exact thing if you wanted to, just recast them. Obviously, you wouldn't want to see the same exact thing because that'd be kind of boring as fuck to see them just redo Iron Man. But the point is that you can reboot it and then just have a cohesive plan from point A to point B. But I digress. I think this is actually a good place to stop. Actually, my phone's dying here soon, so I will be back soon. I probably will not be in my car next time. I'll probably be at home. I'll try to go daily with the lives. This seemed to be somewhat successful. I saw a bunch of people on here. Shout out to people who are watching this or are popping in. Make sure you subscribe for more live videos because I'm going to be trying to do this daily. I'm going to try and do it daily. I say try because I'm very bad at being consistent at video content because I'd be doing so much shit. But hopefully I see you all soon. Hopefully you guys are all doing well. And don't worry about the future, man. Don't worry about it. We got a bright, bright, bright future ahead of us. And it's not because of the administration, it's because of what you put into it to make it what it is. And that's my inspirational kick of the day. But I love y'all. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Peace.